One major shared trait between all humans is that we all have ideas. On a daily basis, each and every one of us is hit with new and fresh ideas. And I know for myself, I keep running lists on random notepads on my phone and computer. Whenever something comes to mind, I try to capture it pretty much anywhere I can. But what I also know is I have a tendency to, even if it's only subconsciously, sort those lists into two main categories: big and small, ideas I can tackle now versus later, simple and complex. And I've learned in the last year that this is a mental trap. Sure, it's fantastic to have long-term goals and long-term projects, but of my massive list of, let's say, 300 video ideas, at least 95% of those ideas don't qualify as long-term. They might be big ideas, they might be more complex, but that doesn't mean they can't be accomplished right now. And in my last few years on YouTube, I've had several ideas that at first glance seemed to be too big to tackle, but I'm incredibly thankful I moved forward. I used what I currently had to produce the best possible result, instead of waiting till I had a better camera, more resources, or a higher budget to execute on them. So today, I'm sharing with you my top tips for how to pull off your biggest idea yet. These are the things that helped me pull together projects like renting a studio and scheduling 9 diverse couples to share the story of their first kiss, directing my first narrative short film with a crew of 18 people, hosting a creator dinner on the beach, and coordinating with 7 YouTubers on a nostalgic tech unboxing video. But today I'll be focusing on a project I published 1 year ago today on May the 4th. Yes, that's right, a Star Wars video. I had this idea back in November of 2018 to get as many YouTubers together as possible to have an epic lightsaber battle. I was extremely excited. I could see this battle royale type situation with one side being Sony users and the other being Canon fanatics. And we filmed on April 14th, so I had quite some time to plan this all out. The first and most obvious thing I do when planning a big project is breaking everything down into manageable tasks and phases. Otherwise, the entire thing is overwhelming. You won't know where to start, and so you won't start. So when I am starting that new project, one of my favorite tools is from a company called Best Self Co, and they have a project action planner. It's a notebook. I love to list everything out on here from start to finish. What details is it going to take to pull this off? I know that I need to concisely write a brief statement that explains the video concept. I need to invite creators to join in on the project, write the actual script, learn how to and build the lightsabers, figure out who's going to coordinate the stunts. So many things are dependent on other details getting done. I love physically writing it all out and visualizing those details. You have to go through whatever process will take you from complete overwhelm to decent clarity on at least the major phases of the project and timeline. And the earlier you can get this done, the better. Usually when a project is more complex, there are going to be multiple people involved, so your timeline is dependent on more than just yourself. When it comes to getting more people involved in your big idea, I have one very simple tip: just ask. This one took me a very long time to understand. I've always had an aversion to asking people for help or for what felt like a favor, but the worst that can happen is rejection, and it absolutely will happen. People are busy and we all have our own stuff going on. But when you start with a concrete idea, you've done your research on your dream team, and you truly believe they'll be intrigued by the project, all you can do is ask. But the secret to this, the most important part, is that this actually starts long before you're hit with your big idea. Building genuine relationships, authentically engaging with others, is just being human. And just being human is the only kind of networking I can recommend. It just so happens to also be the best way to get shit done. On top of already having an established relationship before making an ask, you have to make it as easy as possible for people you want to be involved with your project. Definitely don't bombard anyone with messages, and when you've got them on the line, don't send them all the overwhelming information you have on your brain. Don't weigh them down with the details. That's your job. Send them what they need, tell them what the commitment will be from them so they can decide if this project is something they can say yes to. And ultimately, the more value you can bring them from your personal understanding of their needs, the better the chance you have of them actually saying yes. And once your project is officially a go, you should always plan on needing more time to get everything done than you'd expect. If this is a project where individuals are sending you their own portions, expect it to take longer. If you're all collaborating in one space at the same time, build so many buffers into your schedule because everything takes longer than you think it will. This Star Wars shoot was a bit of a nightmare in one sense because we couldn't start filming until it was dark. So we did have a very limited schedule. But before we even started filming, we had hours of rehearsal and stunt choreography and safety time built in. Even with all the precautions and buffers that I did build into that schedule, we still went 2 hours longer on shoot day than I'd hoped. If you're an optimist like me and think so much can be accomplished in little time, build yourself that buffer. In any and all phases of the project, you always need more time. And because of that, when you're tackling a big idea, prepare to persevere. There's a reason why small ideas seem easier. It's because they are. But the satisfaction that comes with pulling off the improbable, that's a feeling that doesn't wear off by the next week. But in order to pull it off, you must be ready to keep moving, even when things seem to be falling apart. I inevitably procrastinated the post-production of this specific project, even though I'd casually been working on it for weeks. And I left myself about a month to pull it all together. I did the most of the post-production on this VFX heavy film on May 2nd and May 3rd. I pulled an all-nighter on May 3rd and was working until I exported the final video at 11 a.m. on the West Coast on May 4th. And there was a moment at about 3 a.m. when I did a test export of my lightsaber effect. And I actually believed after all of this work, after so many people volunteering their time on this passion project, that I'd show up empty-handed, that nothing would come of it because I actually wouldn't be able to finish this project. But from over an hour of research into the problem with the plugin, I found the solution, and even when it meant I had to completely redo 8 hours of VFX work that I had just done in only a couple hours, there was no option to give up at that point. So just persevere, keep going, it will be worth it. When you're working to accomplish a vision, to take something from your head and make it real, it's easy to get stubborn, to get stuck on an original aspect of the idea, but sometimes to get things done, we have to be flexible and try to anticipate, come up with the worst case scenario and alternative solutions if your plan A doesn't work out. When I wrote the script for this film, I visualized a specific location in my own city where I live. The shoot date that worked out for everyone just so happened to be the biggest event of the year in my city of Long Beach, California. That wasn't going to work, obviously. It was drawing tens of thousands of people to this one location. And even though I was disappointed, I immediately started brainstorming new locations. Partway through my research phase, I realized the stunt choreography was way over my head. I started reaching out to stunt coordinators. I couldn't get one involved though. So, okay, I learned everything I can about lightsaber battles. I'll simplify it.
That's like one of the main things that will look pretty decent on camera.
Can you show me that move again?
And ultimately we just paired everyone up and they choreographed their own short action sequences.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm already ready for you.
When I first had the idea, I pictured something like 50 YouTubers all battling it out with lightsabers. We had 8. That's still awesome. I'm cool with that. And I love an idea that came out of what I viewed as a shortcoming of only having 8 YouTubers on set. And I actually ended up sending messages to YouTubers in different states and countries, and they all sent in individual clips to be included in the final cut. Be flexible and have the confidence and understanding that you can only control what you can control. You'll make it work no matter what. And when it's all said and done, always, always communicate your gratitude. For anyone who played a role in bringing your vision to life, they absolutely sacrificed something to help you execute that idea. If you want to see some serious YouTube stars actually locked in a lightsaber battle over Sony versus Canon, here's the finished film. And if you like this video, you can always like and subscribe, but what you might enjoy is this playlist I put together for you. It's got all of my best mindset, motivation, and tips for tackling the hard things. I'll see you in the next one.